It's wild. Give me a sec. Let me grab a quick water, and then we'll continue with this one. Something's happening with Wuthering Waves. Apparently, the last update was really nice, really good. A lot of good things I've been hearing, but then suddenly they've been caught up on like this like weird kind of like greedy vibe lately, and people are not happy with it. And you know what? Screw it. If you don't keep them in check with the tiniest of like nonsense, it's gonna be like EA, where they're gonna keep trying to push the envelope little by little. And if they move it over an inch and you don't notice until they get to an inch of like pushing the envelope, but then they only they only pull it back half an inch. Well, they got half an inch like in. Now they just gotta keep pushing. You get what I'm saying? Like they're gonna keep trying to push greedier and greedier methodology until eventually, you're just like okay with some of the less scammy things. You get me? So like right off the bat, it's an anniversary. You lose nothing by giving us a free 5-star. You lose nothing by giving us a bunch of XP items. You lose absolutely nothing by giving us a bunch of monies and a bunch of rewards. Not one thing is lost to you. Not 1 ounce of like extra effort or work or anything will it take for you to give your audience a really phenomenal dessert. Sorry, dessert. And a dessert. You know what? Screw it. Also buy me cake. Your audience deserves a cake. And you need to pay for it. But now I'm thinking about cake. Anyway, but the point being is that as long as the game is good, as long as people aren't seeing like greedy I'll say actions or greedy intentions, let's say, I feel like most people are going to be happy. But Wuthering Waves has sort of made this reputation about being very like listening to their audience, being very concerned about their audience's opinion, all that stuff. So it's kind of like you've bred a whole community of people that will keep you in check, and this is literally, I think, what's happening here. Let's check it out.
So, Wuthering Waves content creation, let's talk about it, because this is something that's been coming up in a couple of groups that I've seen, including one post which we will get into, about how Wuthering Waves content creation has been going. And obviously me, myself, I've been covering Wuthering Waves before it even came out, I was really on that grind whenever it comes to trying to get out Wuthering Waves content before the actual game released, and obviously I'm still covering it now because of, how many good updates there have been, and just how well, Wuthering Waves has managed to last until up to this point. We're almost reaching an anniversary at the moment, where it's been 1 year and we're still here making content on it, which I think is absolutely great. Now, if you guys don't know anything about my past, I used to be a Genshin Impact content creator, a Hoyoverse content creator, I'd say, because I also covered a bit of Honkai Star 2 whenever that first came out as well. And honestly, it's been such a great switch going to Wuthering Waves a little bit more. Obviously, I
don't know jack squat about this guy. I just found him today.
Cover a bit of Hoyoverse content over on my second channel. It's a little bit more negative, I will be real, but pretty much there's been this whole conversation and stuff, kind of talking about Wuthering Waves content creation, which I stumbled across, which obviously a couple people have also covered. I'm pretty sure Ethan covered it, and I saw some other people give their opinions, and this was actually in the Gacha Police community. Now, this really interested me, because obviously the Gacha Police is filled with all sorts of people. It seems like, so many people have been attracted to this kind of area that, there's a ton of like Kurobots and Hoyo shills everywhere that are kind of making their own kind of choices and decisions on different posts to make. And obviously this person says, I've noticed something between Kurobot CC and Hoyo Shield CC. Kurobot CCs are usually disrespectful towards Hoyo and his community. They are usually drama farmers. Hoyo Shield CCs usually make content about the game and never talk about dramas until they're forced to. How sad for WuWa. Which I saw this and I thought it was a little bit weird, because obviously, yeah, they've brought up certain content creators, for example Saint Tontas here as one of the Wuthering Waves content creator examples. Then we've got Doro as someone who does, mainly Hoyoverse. He does cover a little bit of Wuthering Waves as well. And obviously we go over to Anthony Chan, I'm pretty sure this is, and obviously, yeah, he's covering our Hoyo, but to be fair, you can see he's even trying to get out of the Hoyo space. And then finally we got Glaive as well, who makes a lot of Wuthering Waves content. Now, I do understand, obviously, because I've been brought up in similar comparisons like this in the past with my thumbnails. I understand where a lot of the kind of, confusion and hatred comes from these people saying that the Kurobot CCs are being disrespectful. Let's be real, me and some content creators do release some titles and some thumbnails which can be seen as quite, heavy, and it's quite like, going straight to the point at Hoyoverse. But the main point of this is to go after these
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a thumbnail. Welcome to YouTube. It's called clickbait. Only the best people do it.
companies which aren't performing good, which maybe these other content creators which they're also mentioning aren't doing. Because as you can see here, you got people like Doro, Anthony Chen, who just make videos on the game and they just play it and they don't really point out any kind of like flaws of it. And obviously that's a big problem, and that's how Genshin Impact isn't as much liked anymore, due to the fact of all of these overly positive content creators not giving any critiques to the game. Now yes, you can say, oh, they're constantly comparing the game, they're constantly comparing Wuthering Waves to Hoyoverse, but
I feel like, yeah, at the end of the day, this is a live service. It's meant to be improved upon, and the quality of the game is meant to be increased with every patch. If you are personally, like, fine with where it's at and complacent, that's one thing, but I genuinely feel like in most situations, you kind of want the game overall to continue to improve, for most players.
Let's be real.
And even in a situation where a game is perfect and there's no other way to improve the game, even then I still think it's a lie, because there's always some way that you could make it more available to people, make the game easier. Kind of like with Path of Exile, how no matter how well they're trying to like balance stuff out, the fact that they're nerfing rather than buffing characters, horrible decision, because that doesn't make new players want to play the game more. It makes them feel frustrated and annoyed that they can't progress in the game. Similar situation here. If a new player comes in and there's like 200 freaking characters in Genshin Impact, and like 100 characters in Honkai Star Rail, and they all suck except for the newest one that just came out, a lot of the new players just not going to care much for the content,
A lot of these people have played Hoyoverse games, including me. I've spent years and years playing Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zelazone Zero. Obviously, Zelazone Zero is newer, so it's not been years, but you get what I mean. I've spent so much time playing these games that I know where to compare them. I know how much better Wuthering Waves have done things, and that's why I make content on it, and that's why I, compare the two. And I think it's kind of stupid to be saying that, they're all drama farmers and everyone's just drama farmers, because all it is that these content creators, especially a lot of these Wuthering Waves ones, are actually able to tell it how it is, compared to some content creators like Anthony Chen and Doro, who more than likely have a contract to do with Hoyoverse. Hoyoverse usually give them a contract to just be nice about the game, not really speak bad about it, and just kind of do content on it, which is totally fine. If you want to do that, go ahead. I honestly think Doro and Anthony Chen are great content creators, and I think if they want to be very positive about the game, that's totally fine. That's up to them. But I think people comparing it and kind of downplaying people kind of criticizing other games, it's just dumb. And obviously we had some other kind of replies and stuff down here from Tectone saying the reason Hoyo CCs don't talk shit is because they know their games are the worst, or are contracted by the devs and are mindless puppets. Hope this helps.
How the hell is it that anytime there's anything to do with freaking Genshin anywhere, Tectone is somehow freaking magically appearing in the comments?
And obviously, yeah, so that's a pretty good reply there from Tectone, obviously. And that is definitely true, because obviously, yeah, you're not going to see any Genshin Impact content creator going out here and kind of saying, hey, Genshin Impact is so much better than Wuthering Waves, look at all of these features we got, because they've got none. Like, that's literally the case. You can't really change that fact.
Some of the very basic, features in Wuthering Waves are locked behind paywalls in Genshin.
That is literally a fact, that Wuthering Waves has a ton of features that Genshin Impact, Honkai Star, and some other games don't have, which obviously, these content creators aren't going to be able to bring that up as a point, because, they don't have it in the first place. And that's why, a ton of Wuthering Waves content creators are actually able to make this content, because Wuthering Waves are doing things different. They're doing things, that Hoyoverse never did. They're doing things that Hoyoverse, don't want to implement. For example, the artifact set system. Genshin Impact players have been asking for that forever. Whenever I was playing the game a lot, they were still asking for it, and it still isn't really fully here. And obviously, it's not even been a year of Wuthering Waves yet, and they're just like, okay, yeah, sure, here you go, here's artifact sets. And whenever we don't even really need them, let's be honest, with a lot of the echoes and stuff, there isn't actually that many to the point where we actually need it at this point, but they went, here you go anyways, because they know it's something that the community want. And obviously this is why so many people are comparing the two games, because obviously there's a clear and stark difference between the two. And also, I think, you know, the main reason why it's getting compared to Genshin Impact the most is because of the similarity in game. They're both open world games, they both have similar kind of aspects in it, which allows people to compare it more. If you're comparing it to Honkai Star Rail or Zenless Zone Zero, you can't really compare it as much.
Yeah, you can't really. But that being said, though, I feel like Wuthering Waves is probably one of the few games that, like, the actual story seems to actually go somewhere to a certain degree, whereas Honkai Star Rail, it sort of feels like there is no story. You're kind of just running around with different, like, anime peeps. And then they just sort of show off a new one, and they're just like, yeah, look at this one has, like, the overpowered powers. And then they just make up a story for that one. Wuthering Waves, at least the freaking story feels like it's all interconnected. Zenless Zone Zero, kind of as well. It feels more like, rather than an overall story, it's more like it's just sort of giving you character stories for each individual, like, character that you're playing as. Which I could be fine with, but if you don't freaking eventually start doing something with the actual campaign, I'm gonna get bored, and frankly, I understand that for some people, this is totally fine, this is totally okay, that's the way that the game is, but if I don't have the story there to entertain me and to keep me interested, I'm out. Like, I've stopped playing Zone Zero, I stopped playing Honkai Star Rail. I still have WuWa just because I kind of want to play it on stream. I got Nikke. Because honestly, even though most of it is text-based, it's still better story than freaking Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero for the most part. Not on all of them though. Some of the Zenless Zone Zero character stories are pretty cool.
Just due to the fact of the game style and everything like that. Now you could compare maybe stuff like that analytics, just because it came out at a similar time to Wuthering Waves. You can compare how the two are actually performing. Other than that, you can't really compare a lot of the kind of, you know, stuff in the game. There's a few things at events and stuff, but again, that's just for like a different kind of topic. But honestly, I think that a lot of people trying to downplay this is just like, oh, they're just drama farmers, or they're, you know, farming drama. Is the initial problem that we've had in this community for so long. It's just like, you know, we started off with Genshin Impact saying that, hey, you know, you're a drama farmer if you talk bad about my Horrorverse game or something like that. And, you know, obviously this created this entire kind of community, like, you know, people like Doro and Anthony Chan, and even more, like, I'm not just trying to, you know, go after these people. There's tons of Genshin Impact creators out there who are overly positive about the game, which then, you know, drives the game to just not make any more kind of changes that can actually be really beneficial to the game, which we're seeing right now, by the way. You know, whereas a lot of the changes that, you know, they've been asking for years, they're not there because, you know, obviously it's overly positive. They don't need to make a change if, you know, they are being overly positive. Whereas with the Wuthering Waves audience,
and the worst part is that it's not like the vast majority of the community is like being overwhelmingly positive either. It's only a few select whales that basically need to be appeased. And then as long as they're fine with everything, like, that's really all that whale's looking for, you know?
we're a little bit more progressive, I feel like. You know, we want things to change. Like, if you take a look at my channel, for example, I do cover the negatives of Wuthering Waves, like in terms of games and everything like that. So I feel like, you know, people are kind of fair on the system. For example, Saint. I know Saint covers a lot of the negatives of Wuthering Waves as well too. For example, stuff like, you know, the WuWa stuff and everything that went on with that, you know, people were very negative about that and they changed it. And that's the good thing about it, you know? You can be negative about Wuthering Waves and still want a change, you know? You're not negative about the entire game, you're negative about one aspect of it. You're not drama farming, you're just providing critiques which could improve the game in the future. And, you know, obviously, yeah, whenever you have this stark contrast between Horrorverse content and Kuro Games content, well, it's going to look a lot different, because a lot of the kind of, you know, big Horrorverse content creators don't talk about the negative sides of Genshin Impact, so nothing changes, and everybody thinks, you know, oh, these people are so much more drama farmy.
Oh yeah, now honestly, if people were on top of the CEO and stuff for Honkai Star Rail, or whoever's in charge, about like the old units getting buffs, as much as they were on top of Rappy's voice actress during the latest live stream, we would have had even more improvements, bro.
When that isn't really the case. It's just that these people aren't speaking up about their game, and, you know, if that's the case, they can do what they want, but, you know...
Nah, BS aside, if you guys wanted improvement in your game, you should be showing up to every single stream, every single interview, every single freaking... whatever live situation that that game has, to freaking air out your complaints. Screw them. Let him know.
For Wuthering Waves and comparing it to other games to make our game better, I feel like, you know, that's a very positive thing for the community going forwards. And I feel like, although it does seem negative on some of the videos, you know, some people might be like, oh, it's drama, things like that. At the end of the day, it does help to improve the game in the future because Wuthering Waves do listen and make those changes. Wuthering Waves don't see this as, oh, you just hate the game. Okay, we don't care about your opinion. We're just going to keep, you know, producing the updates we want to produce. They actually look at this negative feedback, they go, okay, how can we change this? And then they make the changes. For example, like WuWa. For example, like other kind of aspects in the game, which have been a massive change and have helped out the game in the long term, which honestly has made the game even better than it is today, whereas Genshin Impact is still just kind of dawdling along because, again, all the content creators are so positive about the game and not really calling out what needs to be called out. And obviously this person...
And I'll be honest, this is one of the biggest reasons why I've also been, on the side as well, but like really trying to like play a lot of these games that I've been hearing not only good things about, of course, but also really bad things. Best examples, Avowed. And I kind of want to just like play them myself and like do my own little like. And I'm not talking about like a freaking IGN review or anything. It's like I'm not talking about a freaking like glorious, amazing, the best review that you've done. No, just like a straight up like, hey yo, like this is literally me. This is what I was playing. Here's a bunch of footage from my stream, and like that's really the reaction I got because I'm so sick and tired of all these like extreme positive or extreme negative reviews where everyone is either like this is the best, this is the most 10 out of 10 game that's ever existed, and there will be no game more better than this. And then there's like, nah, this game sucks, and I hate it, and I hate everything about it. And it's like, have you played the game? No, but I hate it, and it sucks, and everything about the game sucks, and the company's garbage, and it's trash. It's just like what's up with the game though? And I hate it. I freaking hate that. I hate that you either love something or hate something, but you can't like be honest or talk about it.
She replies to Tectone here saying, I could also say that Kuro's content creators know WuWa isn't relevant enough, so they'd farm drama like you because that's the only way they stay alive. Although unlike you, they don't have the same freedom to do whatever they want and still keep the same number of views, which I don't think is true at all. I feel like drama content actually sometimes does worse. You know
what's even funnier is the fact that I could also say that Kuro's content creators know WuWa isn't relevant enough, so they farm drama like you, because that's the only way to stay alive. Didn't you just say it though? Like, what do you mean you could say? Like, pull your big boy pants on. This is the real world. Say it, say what you mean. Why does everybody always have to play these stupid games of like, I'm not saying this, but I'm saying this? It's like, what the frick? Just say it! What do you mean? I freaking hate that. That's so freaking annoying. What a nerd. Although unlike you, they don't have the same freedom to do whatever they want and still keep the same number of viewers. And? Get good. Be a better content creator.
Way they stay alive, although unlike you, they don't have the same freedom to do whatever they want and still keep the same number of views, which I don't think is true at all. I feel like drama content actually sometimes does worse. You know, in my analytics, I've made some drama content.
Not for me. All my drama videos get hella dislikes. And that like boosts the hell out of their views, so I get way more views. So yeah, I mean, I guess like technically it means I get like more dislikes, but like no one cares. Like not even YouTube cares. All YouTube cares is that you hit one of the 3 buttons: like, dislike, or share, and that means that there's engagement, and that the video either it made you happy enough or pissed you off enough that it made you want to watch it and like engage in it. Which means somebody else out there wants to engage and watch it too. So it'll start sharing the video.
Which is done actually worse than my positive Wuthering Waves content. If you look at my most popular videos in my long form, most of it is being like, yo, Wuthering Waves have got a new update, this shit's insane. That's usually the videos that do good. The ones that do bad is me actually talking about an issue. The ones that get a lot of dislikes is me talking about an issue, but we still do it. And that's the kind of point, you know? I feel like, you know, making drama.
Well, yeah, of course. Because you're like, again, this guy is he's a WuWa Kuro Games content creator. So when he talks good about it, his audience who likes WuWa and Kuro Games, they're gonna enjoy it. And when he talks smack about it, they're gonna be mad and they're not gonna want to hear it. And I feel like it's the same thing with everyone's like. If you're a Hoyoverse creator, the same thing's gonna happen there.
Drama content and making content that is negative.
Now you're probably wondering, well, what about Monke? Monke says that all these games are stupid. Go girls' front line. Listen, you get to go into the girls' like dormitory and look at their like naked feet. Trust me, that game is better than all of this nonsense. Forget all of these. Forget Zenless 0 what? More like snooze ZZZ can go to sleep because it all freaking sucks. Genshin Impact, boring. What, you gotta spend money on like 500 characters and you're never gonna be able to freaking E6? Get out of here. Nobody cares about that. Hawkeye Star Rail, oh, it's all pay to win. It sucks. WuWa, woo. Shut up. No one cares. Give me more anniversary presents. Give me another 5-star. Make the grind like less annoying to level up your characters, okay? Freaking meanwhile, Girls Frontline, you unlock the girl, you already win. You can just go visit them in a dormitory. It's like that's like 90% of the game right there.
About the game isn't necessarily a play to get more views. It's a play to, you know, kind of improve the game and improve the space in general and just kind of get something off your chest. For example, like this video.
And you don't need like 6 like girls like copies of the girl to be able to visit them and see their toes. Like, it's totally there from the beginning.
You know, this video, I am literally talking about an issue that is going on at the moment, and it's been something that's been plaguing Hoyoverse forever, and I hope that the Wuthering Waves community does not change, you know? I hope the community stays as it is, and stays what this person hates, you know? I wish that whatever this person hates about this kind of space at the moment, because that's what's keeping Wuthering Waves alive.
I hope it happens more. I hope that everything that Watana hates about the WuWa community, I hope it gets, like, more of that. I hope it doubles down.
Live, that's what's keeping Wuthering Waves good. That's what's keeping Wuthering Waves having all these really great updates, which
because if he's pissed off about it, it means they're doing something right.
Can honestly, you know, really benefit the game and the players and everything, and honestly it's really good for us. Obviously it's bad for Hoyoverse, but the fact is, if Hoyoverse just stepped up their game a bit, and actually some content creators put their foot down and talked about some of the issues and actually, you know, kind of pushed for a little bit of a change in the game, then maybe they would also have a little bit of change in their game too, but they don't. And you know,
nah, so it's because they're scared of their own audience. If they talk trash and their audience gets mad at them for talking trash, then they lose.
Obviously, it's not my fault, it's not any Wuthering Waves creators' fault that their game is doing bad. It's their fault. It's their fault for not making content on it. And obviously, yeah, we can call it out as much as we like, but, you know, we're not the core audience for this, and it's them that...
Yeah, of course. I am the core... well, I am the core audience, I feel like, for all of it. Like, there's nobody out there that wants to see sexy, like, waifus and husbandos as much as I do, and, like, use them to beat up monsters. You get what I'm saying?
That have to do it, and I feel like, you know, this...
So obviously you should listen to nobody except for me, the monkey, okay? And go play Girls Frontline, okay?
It's just one of these kind of situations where people are just trying to call this drama farming when it's just really not the case. And honestly, I just found this really weird and really stupid that they think that all of this is drama farming.
Yeah, it's kind of like, again, anything, drama is literally anything and everything I don't want you to talk about at this point. It's literally like... If I don't agree with your opinion, it's just drama. It's just this, is that, like, they're gonna name it, it's the straw man argument where they cannot argue against your argument in the video or disagree with you. So they just have to, like, make up a whole other freaking, like, argument or make something else up and then, like, defeat that. Oh, this is not criticism. This video is not a video of criticism. This is a drama farming video. And that I can defeat. So it's like, yeah, we can make up all the bad guys you want. That's still not the argument that they're making. Like, these are content creators that are making videos about a certain topic. Whether they make 1 or whether they make 1,000,000 videos on that same topic is none of your damn business. Don't watch it if you don't like it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, just shut up. Like, nobody cares about your opinion. The only thing that matters is the content creators' like view count and like count. And dislike count, frankly, and that's pretty much it. The really only thing that matters is the engagement that the video gets for YouTube. Yeah, nobody really cares if you think the video's good or not, I'll be honest.
Farming and all of this, and that, like, every single Hoyo Shield content creator is, like, you know, an innocent saint or whatever. If they actually talked about the issues...
And by the way, before everyone even says it, drama content is content. Shut your damn mouth. Let them, like, Drama Alert is a whole ass channel. Shut your mouth. Why are we gonna sit here and pretend like drama is content on the news when the mainstream news media does it? Drama is content when Philip DeFranco does it on YouTube. Drama is okay when freaking in pretty much every freaking situation, but suddenly when somebody talks smack about your waifu game, that's the bad drama. Like, that's not allowed. That's the kind of drama you're not allowed to talk about.
in the game and stuff like that. Honestly, I feel like Genshin Impact would actually be in a much better state at the moment, and that's just the difference between the two communities. And if you want to hate that, you can hate that, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, Wuthering Waves is going to keep improving. Hoyoverse is going to keep, you know, kind of dawdling on their games. For example, you know, we had the whole Castro stuff going on as well. Honkai Star Rail ain't looking too hot. Zealous Zone Zero is looking a bit better, obviously, with
Now, honestly, I had already dropped Zealous. I mean, I had dropped Zealous Zone Zero because I had gotten to the end game and ran out of like operator like agent missions, but the TV stuff for the end game was so freaking annoyingly boring and I hated it, and there was so much downtime outside of combat that I just stopped playing the game altogether. I don't know if I'll ever go back. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I got Jane Doe. If I do go back, I would love to train up Jane Doe again. Honkai Star Rail, I have absolutely zero confidence that if I return there now, I would be able to pick up the game again. Because I know for a fact all the enemies are going to be so tough that you need to get the new units. All the old units are garbage. They just keep making them stronger and stronger and stronger. And instead of buffing all the old units to balance them all back out, they just been leaving it like that. So it is what it is. Girls Frontline, I feel like with the weakest of the weakest of the weak agents, I've been able to pass most of the campaign, if not all of it.
a lot of that dev talk, it honestly looked really good.
Wuthering Waves, I will go back. I tried the 50-50 on Shorekeeper, and I lost it, and then I stopped playing the game for, like, what is it? It's been, like, what, 3 months now? Yeah, I lost the 50-50 on Shorekeeper, and I stopped playing for 3 months.
Hey, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But, you know,
for now,
Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves are making the changes that people want.
No, I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, we're still coming back with more gacha. Like, it's not that we're not on a gacha, it's just that we had run out of content, legitimately. Even on Nikke, I hit the wall, and I can't move forward until I get, like, six copies of one freaking Nikke. WuWa, we were able to go through the entire campaign. Zealous Zone Zero, I feel like same. We were able to get through the whole campaign, so we might even return to that. Now that there's, like, more stuff. I really don't want to go back in the Honkai Star Rail. I like it. I love the game. Don't get me wrong. That's the issue. I really do like it. It's just that it's like, if you're a free-to-play player for that game, you're why are you doing that to yourself? You're just torturing yourself at that point. At that point, just put in the money for the new characters. And if the only way, but the problem even then is that even if you put the money in for these new characters, the next character is going to be overpowered, and the character you already spent money on is going to be worthless. So what's the point?
That's the only thing that we need to compare here, you know? And obviously, if, you know, Wuthering Waves creators want to compare the games, they obviously can, because they have free will to do so. And if you don't want to watch that content, then don't watch that content. But at the end of the day, I feel like, yeah.
Well, that's crazy, bro. What are you talking about? Like, you're saying that people are allowed to just make all the content they want? Nobody should worry about what other people are doing? Stupid. Come on, get out of here. Stop it with that nonsense.
People should continue making this content.
Cool. People should only make the content that I think that people should make, because my opinion is correct, and if anybody makes a different opinion, it's wrong and doesn't belong.
Putting out problems with every single game in this community so that they can improve it, and even if it is Hoyoverse and they're not going to listen at all, you know, well, you know, still call it out. Maybe they'll listen. We never know, and we'll have to wait and see. But honestly, I don't think that's going to happen. And honestly, I think Wuthering Waves has just been doing so good at the moment that...
Nah, but yes aside, you should keep calling it out anyways, for two main reasons. One, for content. Two, there's been a lot of times where most people will really just be like looking at something and just be like, that sucks, I hate that, and they just be about their business. And sometimes they just hear somebody else be like, nah, this is BS, and they'll be like, yeah, right, it's not just me, yeah, screw this is some BS. You know what, that's how I used to be with, like, the Mass Effect 3 ending, where I'm like, what the hell, the ending is just like an explosion, but like 3 different colors? That's stupid. And I pretty much move on with my day. I was like, what a freaking waste of money. Where's the freaking Mass Effect game? And then I saw a video on somebody complaining about it. I was like, yeah, screw them. And it felt almost, what would you say, narcissistic? No, it felt almost, I don't know, but it felt really good to be like, yeah, you also hate it because it's stupid.
I think some people are a little bit mad that, you know, it is on top and that they are doing much better, and maybe that's the case with this kind of tweet here. But I've seen many different tweets that are very similar to this, and honestly, it is getting a little bit ridiculous at how some people can get so mad at this. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this, because again, it's a very, very interesting topic. I thought it was quite an interesting tweet. Many people have chimed in on this. It's only got 200 likes out of 63,000 views, so that kind of tells you about how much people agree with this one. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.
I wonder how much tech tone this reply got. Phenomenal video, my dudes. Please, Monos, go and check it out. Go drop a like, go drop a sub. Get that view count up, get that like count up. Well deserved. Links will be down in the description below, as well as on the Discord, as always, Monos. Thanks for hanging out. Like or dislike, comment, and subscribe, and become a Monodachi today! I live stream all day, Monday through Friday, so go say hi! That's all for now, Monos. Goodbye, and thanks for swinging by. Salut!